Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
Ford Motor Company under fire amid claims they sold cars with transmissions they knew were faulty. So what do you do if you have one?
A tragedy in the truest sense. 4 children, including a set of twins, will never see their mother again after a shooting her family can't figure out. Topping our news tonight at 6, things are just not adding up in the shooting death of Evelyn Latrice Arnold.
Her family says Evelyn was simply paying a visit to her sister when someone opened fire and killed her. Now those who knew the 28-year-old are remembering her as a devoted mother and wondering why anyone would do this.
Sean Lay has been talking with the family today and joins us more with what he's learned now. So many questions in this case here still lingering, Sean.
That's what certainly came up. We just met with this heartbroken family, and you could just feel they're reeling right now, looking for answers about why in the world this would happen. A simple visit to her sister's house, and then this mom is shot and killed. So right now, they're trying to plan a funeral, and they're trying to wrap their arms around her 4 beautiful young kids.
They know, but they're kids, so I don't know. I don't think they understand the magnitude of what actually happened.
Yeah. Evelyn Latrice Arnold was only 28 years old. Her 4 kids, including her 5-year-old twin girls, were her life.
Mom-wise, she was the best, man.
Evelyn was also close to her sister, so it was not unusual for Evelyn to go visit her sisters like she did at her sister's place on Nottingham a couple of nights ago. Her sister lived in the upstairs unit of a home here. The family thought the downstairs was unoccupied until the family got the call that Evelyn had been shot in her neck and killed in that downstairs unit. 2 people are now in custody.
Who are these people?
Right. That's the thing. That's the biggest question. Who are these people? We don't know. We have no idea.
While police were on scene, they're investigating. The 2 people who live in that downstairs unit, a 33-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman, walked right back up to that murder scene, and both were arrested. The murder weapon is gone, according to the family, and answers are scarce.
We're all pretty much devastated. She was 28 years old. She was, young, vibrant young woman with a lot of life.
I caught up with the sister and cousin late today. They were spending most of the day going to funeral homes to see which ones they could afford to have a proper burial for their sister. At the same time, they're just now starting to think about the 4 children and their futures. So the cousin tells me, Devin, that April Gill, the cousin, they're going to put together a GoFundMe page. Once they share it with us, we'll certainly share it with everyone on clickondetroit.com. Back to you.
A lot still to learn here, but Sean, where are the 4 children now?
They're with Dad, and family is checking on them and just kind of surrounding them with love right now every minute while they try to absorb what happened.
Really horrible for them. All right, Sean. Well, we continue to follow breaking news at this hour. President Trump just spoke in the Rose Garden, says he is not going to add the citizenship question to the U.S. Census.
I am hereby ordering every department and agency in the federal government to provide the Department of Commerce with all requested records regarding the number of citizens and non-citizens in our country.
So a different way about going at the problem. The president said he made the decision to abandon adding the question when the Supreme Court ruled against it.
Meantime, the news of Homeland Security agents planning to round up undocumented immigrants this weekend is spreading fear throughout some local communities. This after Homeland Security officials told the New York Times there will be raids this Sunday in 10 major cities. Our Coco McAvoy shows us how activists are responding and how the news is haunting one local family whose deportation story has spread across the country.
That was last year in my dad's hometown.
Cindy Garcia remembers the good times with her husband Jorge and the countless memories as a family of 4 living the American dream in Metro Detroit. But her fond past is nothing like her present.
We have depression, anxiety, PTSD. It's hard to wake up to know that instead of 4 people, there's only 3.
Jorge was deported to Mexico last year. His story garnered national attention, but now
it's been a year and 7 months now, and we're still haven't got any closer to trying to bring him back than day one.
With the news spreading of ICE raids across the country this weekend, it's deja vu for Cindy.
What my family are going through, we wish no other family to go through.
Neither does David Sanchez with Michigan United. The organization fights against deportation.
There are rights that everybody has, whether you're an immigrant or a citizen.
Michigan United works with immigrants in the neighborhoods and is also joining a nationwide protest tomorrow against ICE policies.
The impacts of his policies are real.
ICE Detroit isn't confirming or denying a raid this weekend, but the Garcia family wants their message out there.
Stop the raids, because all you're doing is hurting the families.
During a time in our country when all eyes are on the immigration system.
And ICE Detroit did release a statement today. They say their priority is arresting undocumented immigrants with a criminal history. And they say in the fiscal year of 2018, 90% of the people who they arrested had a criminal background of some kind. Reporting live this evening, I'm Coco McAvoy, Local 4.
All right, thank you, Coco.
Now to a question likely only to be answered in court. Did Ford knowingly sell defective cars to thousands of customers? The company, of course, says no. But attorneys are swirling around one class action lawsuit and looking for more action down the road. Business editor Rod Maloney here to look at the trouble with one particular vehicle. Rod?
Every now and then, the domestic three end up with a problem that ends up being much bigger than they initially expected. And the vehicle that we're talking about today is the 2012 and 13 and some 2014 Ford Focus sedans. At the Madison Heights Transmission Clinic, mechanic Bobby Skinner gives the quick tutorial on Ford's infamous DPS-6 underneath the 2012 Focus.
You have the module here, and then you have the transmission itself and the clutch, which is in the housing itself.
Bobby tells us sometimes the modules fail. Other times the clutch plates wear inside, and when the computer senses that, it'll shut down the transmission while the car runs, no matter where you are. Last night, retiree and church volunteer George Blau discovered that in I-75 North rush hour traffic.
It wasn't very fun. I stopped on I-75 and cars had to go around me, and it was only 2 lanes anyhow because of the construction.
His 7-year-old Focus with 70,000 miles went from Transmission Clinic to the dealer as the result of a DPS-6 class action lawsuit. Ford is repairing these transmissions for the module problems.
Well, the car to be repaired, Ford is going to cover it up to, he said, 10 years or 150,000 miles. And I qualify in both areas. And he said I would have to pay for the towing and everything.
$100 instead of $1,000 is a bullet dodged. But Bobby says this is going on much too frequently.
So I get 2 or 3 a week, and I probably get calls on 10 of them a week, whether they make it here or not.
Now, Ford was able to fix that transmission in the later years. There is no recall on these vehicles, and the company said, look, they thought they had a perfectly good transmission when they first started. It turned out that wasn't the case, and it took them longer than they expected to solve the problem, and for that, they say they apologize to customers. Back to you.
Well, Rod, if you own one of these vehicles or had a bad transmission, what do you do?
Yeah, well, we have linked on our website the website that Ford has for owners of these vehicles on what they can do. It gives all of the information, the service bulletins and the other things that went with it, what the mileage areas are for the differing kinds of problems with it. And so you should check on that at clickondetroit.com, and you should be able to get whatever help you need there.
Okay, Rod.
The idea of using facial recognition technology in street cameras is a controversial one. Many feel it crosses a line of privacy. Others feel it could deter crime in a big way. And that debate is likely to be part of tonight's Detroit Police Commissioners meeting. Jermont Terry live at that meeting tonight. And Jermont, they're expecting a protest there shortly, I understand.
Yes, Karen, there is scheduled to be potentially a silent protest where people will come to the meeting with their faces covered with veils and or scarves, showing that their privacy is that important. This is also their way to express their disapproval with anything of this nature moving forward in the city.
Should the city of Detroit and its police department expand facial recognition to street cameras? That's the question up for debate. And boy, it's debate, splitting community members against the police department and leaving the police commissioners to sort it all out.
your face is something that is owned, it's copyrighted, and so you should have the right to protect that.
Tom Chosky is one of many community activists insisting the police commissioners not only table but stop any measures that would allow police to take your image, analyze it, and all in an effort to catch criminals. Chief James Craig last month made it clear the department would only use the technology to help in finding crooks.
That is not random. We are not going to do random facial recognition under no circumstances. Nothing random.
Yet opponents say data even shows this technology simply is not accurate, especially to darker skin shades, specifically minorities.
If you're not committing a crime, maybe the system messes up. Maybe it matches you to someone else. I think we've all been on Facebook and had it auto tag us as someone whom we're not. So imagine that technology then causing some police officers to show up at your door and start asking you questions, start harassing you.
Now, at the last police commissioners meeting, this item was in fact on the agenda, and it was tabled because commissioners needed a little bit more time to review it, plus there was some opposition here in the crowd. Tonight, it doesn't appear that this item is on the agenda, but many people are expected to show up to still voice their concern. We'll have an update tonight at 11. For now, reporting live, Jamont Terry, Local 4.
Definitely a hot topic. All right, we'll see you back here at 11. Thanks, Jamont.
Accessories retailer Charming Charlie says they're going out of business after declaring bankruptcy for the second time in the last 2 years.
All 261 stores in 38 states will be closed. That includes 4 Detroit area stores. Charming Charlie also is halting all online sales. The company filed for bankruptcy before, but just couldn't make it out of the red. Charming Charlie expects to be out of their stores by August 31st.
Lester Holt and Company putting together the top national stories for NBC Nightly News coming up at 6:30.
Lester joins us live from New York City with a preview. Hi, Lester.
Hey, Karen and Devin, good to see both of you. We're tracking developing news on the Gulf Coast. A hurricane warning now posted for the Louisiana coast. Our team on the ground will have the very latest there. Also, has your hotel bill ever been more than you expected when you booked online? Now there's a big hotel chain being sued by a big city over its pricing policies.
Well, you know, Lester, it does seem like they always are adding extra fees at hotels.
Yeah, maybe you've seen them listed as a resort fee or an urban destination fee. What does that really mean? And they can certainly add up. So now one city says a hotel chain needs to change its practices. We'll tell you what you should know before you book your next hotel stay when we see you coming up on NBC Nightly News.
I'm waiting for them to start charging for carry-on luggage at a hotel. Just the way
That would be
airlines are doing.
Stick with a backpack.
That's right. All
Good
right,
advice.
Lester, we'll see you about 20 minutes from now. All right, still ahead here at 6, a cat who went through something no animal should have to endure. You'll find out what vets think to the cat they call Braveheart.
Plus, here is Ben.
Karen, after a big switch from yesterday from the sweltering 90s to the 80s tonight and a crisp evening ahead. We'll look at that and whether it hangs around for the weekend coming up.
All right, Ben, also a concerning setback for Tommy Shoemaker, the teenager we've been following for many years after his heart transplant. Coming up, the new, different health battle he's now facing.
Number 1 at 4, 5, 6, and 11. Metro Detroit's #1 news website, Local 4, and click on Detroit.